Hello everybody, welcome to this Void campaign slash PvE review of Oscar, Transcendence Oscar. Basically, the purpose here is to see if he has a slot in the Void campaign meta team, which is a little bit difficult to obtain for oneself because you got a bit of an all-star cast. Not the team that I have in here, this is just for testing purposes. But so what we're going to do is, because Valkyrie stages tend to be the biggest walls, we're just going to see if Oscar can have any potential utility here. And I, of course, am not doing the testing live. I'm recording it live, but I've already done some testing, and so I think I have some pretty exciting news for you. But so right here, we're just going to throw in the typical setup. Normally we would use a Wukong to stun the Valks round one and prevent their attacks. The reason we do this, we know that Valkyrie will counter with burns. She'll burn three random friends of yours. And the reason we do this is because, well, her basic also hits 3. And so you take the regular hit and also the burn. So that's 2 layers of Unbending Will stripped rather than just the initial one from if you CC'd them. So CCing results in less damage overall if you are actually taking the hits. But so we're going to send this in, and we're going to do probably 10 or so fights just to see how long on average this team survives with Wukong, because this is how much runway one might expect to have with the standard Void campaign nuke setup against Valks. So we transition into round 2, still totally fine. And then Wukong is going to stun again whenever he gets his next active skill, coming up right after IEA. Here it comes, and I predict the team will die. Yes, basically all of them. And there we go. So round 3, we had only one hero persist. That was SQH. And then she died immediately after. Still perfect stuns here, which, by the way, I'm very impressed with. Normally I don't get perfect stuns. Wukong's being very, very polite to us today. Team starts to die, right into round 2, which is a bit what we expect. We expect most fights to be pretty much chalked at the start of round 2. Or at the start of round 3. Basically, as soon as Wukong inflicts his second batch of stuns, we're kind of looking pretty bad. Of course, the Time Plume would, like instant fucking death. Not good, not good. And of course, the Time Plume would extend duration, but we're doing this without the Time Plume so that we can minimize as many variables as possible and keep this just a test of how long we can expect to survive using the Wukong CC. So it's looking like, for the most part, we die before we even get a taste of round 3. So halfway through round 2 usually is when we start to fall off. If we have a few, in some cases, the start of round 2, if some heroes were unfortunate enough to take every single burn application from the Valks. But again, we're not doing this to be optimal or anything. We're just here to see how long one might expect to survive against the Valks. The Wukong died earlier there, so we're going to extend further into round 3 because Wukong's not there to inflict a second batch of stuns. And then I think after 1 or 2 more, we're going to put Oscar in there. And I'm excited to share with you what happens. But yeah, so lots of our team, we can kind of expect them to start to die as we transition into round 2. Is basically what we're looking at. And then this would be a little bit better with more maxed enable heroes, because the Unbending Will gives you 2 extra layers per hero that has, the full enable infusions, but we are not testing with that. But yeah, I think the results are pretty consistent here. We usually die into round 2, halfway through round 2. And if Wukong gets an early drop-off, we can pretty reliably get to round 3, but that doesn't happen very often. And so let us take a look at Oscar. The main skill we're going to be looking at here is Dazzle. And, is this the wrong skill? Yes, it is the wrong skill. P3 is the one we want to look at. Basically what Dazzle does is it makes the active, basic, and passive skills that will be attacking you from the Valks, it will actually only hit 1 hero, and that hero will be random every time. So Valk burns 3, she actually burns 1 if she is dazzled. Now the dazzle still counts as a CC infliction, So introducing Oscar into the team does cause more CC than when he would be not on the team. However, this actually might work out to less CC, even if you have 2 crowd control heroes on the team. Because if Wukong is on the team, remember each Valk when stunned burns 3. Now we add 1 burn when we dazzle a Valk, but we then subtract 2 burns from the stun. Does that make sense? So Valk, instead of burning 3 per 1 stun, so 3 Valks, 3 burns, that's 9 total burns in a given round. If those Valks are each dazzled, we now have 1 burn per dazzle per Valk, so that's 3. And then, when they are stunned, only 3 more burns because they're dazzled, and they only burn 1. So that is now 6 burns with an extra CC effect inflicted. So in the best case scenario, without doves on the team, of course, remember, we now have 2/3 the amount of burns that we would have without Oscar. So let's take a look. Let's put Oscar in the team, and let's see what happens. And we are not putting the core of Origin on him, just try to keep as many variables the same. We're going to keep using DGN's core. We're going to put Wukong on the team, and Oscar's going to be on the team too. So no dazzles round 1, so we took a hefty batch of burns right there. Wukong attacks, Oscar attacks. Into round 2, we have 1 death. Valk gets to attack, somehow not absolutely annihilating the IEA. IEA health bar needs to be studied. What I suspect happened there is the basic, like the regular attack, hit IEA. And that did that non-infinite portion of the health bar. And then all the burns basically took away the unbending will. And that's how she survived that. But moving on, let's keep on looking here. We want to pay close attention to the Valks to see if they are dazzled. It can be a little bit hard to disambiguate here because the dazzle effect looks a lot like the stun effect. So you're going to be looking for like a sparkly stun effect on top of the actual stun effect. We're not going to expect to see many round 1 because the dazzle condition is enemies with full energy. So any enemy that does not have full energy at present will not be getting dazzled. But at the start of this next round here, you'll see we have a dazzle on those slot 1 and 2 Valks. We have no deaths so far, which is nice. And so let's see how far we can go. Wukong's going to attack again. Remember, he's going to stun here. Second batch of stuns, we have 4 enemy. We used to have 4 enemies anyway. 4 allies, rather. But so that didn't look too bad. At very worst, I would say the sustain is the same. And remember, we only dazzled 2 of those Valks instead of all 3. So pretty exciting stuff, actually. It might not look like it because we're getting absolutely annihilated still, as is expected with Valks. But again, the purpose here, we are only looking at sustain as it relates to amount of CC inflicted on the team. That was a pretty cool, we had some people dodge, and she also had the Root of Confusion, which is very nice. So we have 1 dazzle inflicted on the Valk. The other 2 are not dazzled. Kind of sucks. Wow. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Wukong got his second batch of stuns out. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think that was the best sustain we had so far. And that was with Wukong and Oscar on the team. So we'll do a few more of this before I confidently declare Oscar as being beneficial for your team's survival. This was obviously a bad attempt because Wukong died instantly. We didn't get full energy. And then IEA CC'd. So that was a bit out of our control there. Into round 2. We have 2 dazzled Valks, which is nice. The slot 1 is not, but we have slot 2 and 3 Valks dazzled. Quite nice. Wukong's going to attack here after IEA. A lot of deaths there. Not very good. But persisting into round 3 still. And so I'm going to ask an important question here that I hope will get your brains working. See if I can get you on the page that I am currently on. We've got 2 Dazzled Valks. I would have loved to get an attempt where we had 3, but the fates are not kind to me this day, it seems. Here comes the stun. No deaths with the round 2 stun. That is kind of mad. Round 3. 2 deaths. The Flame Strike attacks and kills another one. Only attacking 1, of course, because she was dazzled. But yeah, look at that. That is pretty nice. Now, here is what I have to say to you. We know that we take a lot of damage round 1. We don't have any Dazzle inflicted round 1. And, in fact, I don't think we're ever going to, because his Core of Origin, when self gains Ordinance, blah, 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 70% chance to increase energy. Besides, there's a 60% chance to dazzle 1 random enemy for 1 round. We would expect this to take effect here. We didn't really see him whiffing dazzles, but so we start this up. Nary a dazzle. Not 1 dazzle. When self gains Ordinance, he's supposed to dazzle. However, he clearly isn't, and then he attacks and inflicts the dazzle then. Bit odd, I would say, because I don't suspect we have any issues, because 1, where's my guy? He's a mage, so he has all the train buffs of control precision and CI offset, and also I snagged this thing for like 1,300 starry gems. I bet you guys are jealous. I would be. So amazing. I love this copy. Anyway, I don't think we have issues. I think we just have a problem perhaps with the code. Because remember, when a battle starts or when Selva's is in the mental substitute, if Selva has 100 or more energy, which I promise you he do, because he gets 100 energy from the mirror. So this should have the same trigger can do. Interesting. We'll try this with Dragon Rui in a sec. Because it might require the same thing as TBB, where you need to get 100 energy. Because the mirror won't cause the instant TBB change. But Dragon Rui will, so we'll try that in a sec. But so in theory, he's supposed to gain 4 layers of Ordinance, which should interact with his core and cause immediate dazzles up to 4 in the first round. Because he gains 4 layers of Ordinance. Ordinance. Good Lord. Don't record videos at 4 a.m. in the morning. 4 layers of Ordinance at the start. So he should be inflicting Dazzle at the very beginning. We'll try 1 attempt with Dragon Rui. Maybe we'll try 2. Oh, he did get it. We have 1. 1 Dazzle. So I don't know what the hell's up. I don't know what's up with that, to be perfectly honest with you. It seems to me he should be getting much more Dazzle than he is with the core active. Maybe I'm illiterate. Maybe I'm a bit dumb. All possible. He didn't get the Dragon Rui energy this time. But yeah, it seems the Core of Origin is not being as helpful as it ought to be at the start of a match. And I know this is an enormous tangent. Come on, Oscar. Help me out, buddy. Help me out. Okay. Oh yeah, I see the little thing in front of him. Is kind of it's adding nodes every time an ally gets an active skill. So let's go to his kit real quick to confirm exactly what that is tracking. Passive 2, when an ally releases active skills, gains 1 layer of Ordinance. Okay, so that is Ordinance. Those little circular nodes right in front of him, those appear to be the Ordinance stacks. 80% chance. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay. I don't know how Arbiter's Insight is tracked on our friend, but those little nodes appear to be Ordinance. And, I don't know, Dragon Rui doing its best to be as inconvenient for me as possible. Always nice. But if those, in fact, are Ordinance, which I believe they are, he is just straight up not gaining Ordinance, which is a bit problematic for us, because that would explain why the start of battle CC is miserable. Oh no, he has a ton of Ordinance, but it's just not interacting with his core, which is a bit strange. And then it is functioning when allies get actives, so that's good, but it doesn't seem like the core of Origin is accepting his start of round Ordinance as Ordinance that can interact with the core of Origin, which kind of feels bad, I think. But regardless, back to the point. Let's get back to the point after that enormous tangent. I can't test this myself. However, we know a huge source of our damage is the stun from Wukong at the beginning of the battle before we have Dazzles, because that's, like I said before, 9 total burns, which sucks for everybody involved. However, what if we come over here, we look at the pupil, and we look at the level 21 skill. At the beginning of battle, inflicts gloomy stars on all enemies for 1 round, so round 1 only. Increases the chance of the target's active skill and basic attack to be dodged with 40%. And if we go here, when it's fully upgraded, it's 50%. What if we take Wukong out of the team entirely? Hear me out. I know Wukong's good. I know. Trust me. I know. But what if we took Wukong out, RNG'd the dodges at the start of the match, and then round 2 onwards, we had our Dazzle? Perhaps, because I want to be defensive with my language, because this is just theory, perhaps we could have the makings of a new Void campaign meta. Because instead of the nuke and then the CC and nuke strat, which we've been using, for ages, since TVB, what if we remove the insta-CC from Wukong and TVB, have neither on the team, we use the pupil, because again, this is Endgame, sorry for you friends starting out, but we dodge the round 1 attacks, dazzle the Valks, and now they only attack 1 enemy with their actives and basics. Also burning 1 enemies with their when they get CC'd, which will only be Oscar, by the way. Remember, we saw equal or better sustain with Oscar and Wukong on the team. Imagine if we just had Oscar. That is some crazy sustain there. And we would also have Holmes Young on the team, by the way, doing the doves. Pretty cool. Now, so we can have a little bit better sustain. And what else does this mean? Well, these heroes now, they will be attacking because Dazzle is a soft CC. I suspect that with attack reductions, the actual hits won't be a problem at all. We still have Star Alchemist Holmes Young, so I don't think we're worried about Valks doing the regular hits. And to be honest, it shouldn't be very difficult to debuff her into Oblivion as far as the attack goes, because not like 95% of attack. I mean, that's a symptom of being an old hero. And then 162% of attack, like that's not a lot. We can reduce that extremely easily. So the attack, I'm not too worried about. And so this would be effectively, I think, 1 layer of Unbending Will stripped, even with the actives or basics, because it should be hitting for -1, and I don't think a -1 will be harming us in the slightest. And just out of curiosity, 210, it's not as horrible as I was expecting an older hero to have. I don't know. Who is the lowest attack active skill in the game? I don't know. But back to it. Just trying to stay on topic. Now that we have enemies attacking, this seems particularly exciting for one hero. And I loathe to say this, I do. But DTV has already been keeping up in terms of attack stat with the nuke and CC strat. And a DTV, for those of you who don't know, does damage according to the amount of ammo that he has. Concentrated Ray caps at 6 when any ally... let's read the sublimed version, because DTV is not a pleb. Cap 6 when any ally releases or takes damage dealt by basic attacks, there's a 50% chance to obtain 1 layer. So he gets ammo to buff his active skill when your team attacks and when the enemy attacks. This is a source of ammo that you were not getting before, and DTV was still competitive in terms of his attacks that clears. Now, with the Valks attacking, and with the entire enemy team attacking, because they're dazzled and not stunned, he now gets more ammo via the Concentrated Ray and the Magic Explosion. We see the cap of 6 and the cap of 4. And look here at the very bottom. If self is under Annihilation Pursuit status, deals extra 3,600% divided by the number of surviving enemies of attack. Damage to all enemies and removes Annihilation Pursuit. What is Annihilation Pursuit? Well, when self has consumed 10 layers of charged energy, enters Annihilation Pursuit status. 10 layers normally would be 6 of Concentrated Ray, 4 of Magic Explosion, which when the enemies and allies, or when the enemies are all CC'd, under perfect energy feed conditions, which many of you DTV players may not actually be using, but under perfect energy feed conditions, you don't reach 10 layers of ammo for every active skill. So not only do you gain more hits via the ammunition stacks when the enemy team attacks, you also get this extra thing, the Annihilation Pursuit. Or at least you're more likely to. And again, I hate to say it, but it's looking pretty good for DTV in particular. He is uniquely benefited by the enemy team having a soft CC and not a hard one. And normally, soft CC would be bad, except for when it's Dazzle. Because when it's Dazzle, your sustain is not harmed at all. And it, in fact, perhaps is benefited. And you also allow DTV to stack the layers. So that's where I am right now. I see DTV as perhaps entering something of a new renaissance. Because the way I see it, Oscar, when you have that pupil thing online, that could be insane as far as DTV nukes go. That could be wild. And also, I don't know RFW as much, but perhaps I should comment on him. Because he needs enemies to reach 100 energy to gain layers of flower. If the enemy is getting active skills, they can again regain their energy back to 100. And so perhaps he might more reliably get flower stacks, and therefore also more reliably, maybe he can get a second nuke off in the time it takes for your team to die. Who knows? I don't know RFW. So take this with an enormous grain of salt, because I'm just an idiot on the internet speculating about a hero that I have not used personally. So can't confidently make claims about that. And the most heartbreaking thing for me is because SSM gains precisely nothing from this. Because he works on a timer, as I mentioned before. Once you use your chases, well, you're in defensive mode, and it doesn't matter if you're not going to die for an extra round or two, you're just not going to do the damage. And so it's a difficult one. I could see him, because when you enter your blue stance, you need to take hits, and he does have his taunt confrontation, which will make dazzled enemies, because I know this is good. Taunt replaces Dazzle, which is nice. So a dazzled enemy that also has Taunt will hit SSM by default. This does mean that if it's a Valk, you take the burns, which is not good. But perhaps there's a chance that you take enough damage to return to your orange stance later on in the battle and to get a second batch of nukes off, and that would be crazy. What I could also see for the first time in the history of like ever, since like chapter 1 and 2, we could potentially get, let's take IEA out of here, we could potentially get a frontline SSM position where he starts defensively, taunts, takes hits, and then somewhere in the neighborhood of round 3, 4, or 5, if you live that long, you swap to offensive stance, and then you chase and attack every single target. We're not going to break down SSM skills because it would be a lot to digest. There's a lot of skill effects, and also because Rek did a very amazing video on SSM, and if you haven't already, it would be a shame of you not to view that because it does SSM so much justice. And in fact, it did him enough justice that I was like, I need to get this guy immediately back on my account because the era of LFA and SSM years ago, back, I would say, let's just put this as the time point right here, with SSM as the most recent, perhaps LDA out there too. That was my favorite era of the game. I thought the coolest heroes were around, my favorite meta at that time. And so I acquired this thing. I overpaid for it a lot. Like 30,000 starry gems for this because the seller I couldn't find on Discord. And so I'll never be able to resell this without losing, like, I don't know, 13,000 starry gems at least, probably. And I made that investment in quotes, 12 hours or so before I had the idea about DTV being perhaps the best Void campaign damage dealer now. Ah, my God, that hurts. That hurts. But I love the copy. I probably wouldn't have swapped mains regardless. SSM's my favorite. And if we can get a setup with SSM in the frontline online using Oscar, because remember, the flame strikes aren't dangerous at all for SSM to taunt. We have our attack reductions and everything like that. If we can get the SSM to reliably attack, round 3, 4, 5, when he swaps stances to his orange stance, that could be some brutal damage. You'd have some monster buffs accumulated. You would be able to hit everybody instead of nuking a select 3. I'm grasping at straws and speculating wildly and probably coping a whole lot. But that could probably put SSM back on the map a little, perhaps. Hopefully. But yeah, it's speculation right now. I would need to test it out, and in order to test out the Dazzle Sans Wukong, I need Pupil 21, and actually 24, because I want the extra 10% that the upgraded version gives you. I'm not too far away, but I'm kind of far away. Like, I need to upgrade the skill for this, and then I need 2 more. That's not so bad. That's not awful. I need 2 more of the Star Soul thingies, and then I need a whole bunch of the pupil food thing. We can do that. That won't take too long. But yeah, that's what we got going on. Oh, I have 2 Star Soul chests here. But lest I start rambling more than I already have, I'm going to call it here. I'm excited about Oscar. I think everybody should be excited about Oscar, personally. I don't know much about his utility in PvP. I assume he's good. Adding another crazy CC effect to PvP. We got the Twine, we got Stun, and now we have Dazzle. I don't know, maybe it shakes things up a bit. I reckon it can. But anyways, have yourselves a lovely day. I hope you find this at least interesting or entertaining. And with that, goodbye. I love you. Thank you for watching.